And so, my fellow New England Patriots fans, ask not what your offensive line can do for you. Ask what the Pats front office can do for your offensive line. Stick around. You're about to be locked into the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country. So reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. You can also find me where the skies are blue over on Blue Sky at MDABATENFL.bsky.social. And, of course, if you're looking to show Locked On Patriots some social media love, do so at our X account at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Pats fans, thank you for joining me here today on the pod. As President's Day continues to wind down and give way to your Tuesday, we are going to be diving into day one of Patriots positional previews. And where else are we going to start? The most problematic area of the New England Patriots roster. That's right, the Pats offensive line. The O-line struggled mightily through the 2024 season in terms of both pass protection and when it comes to penalties. It was a major weakness for the team, let's face it, and it contributed to the Pats finishing third to last when it came to offensive production, the third lowest scoring team in the league, averaging just 17 points per game. How can the Patriots fix the offensive line before next season? Well, we're going to discuss that here today. First, by channeling our inner clash. We're going to play a game of should they stay or should they go? Which linemen should be in or out when the Patriots take the practice fields just in a little over 2 months? And, of course, next we're going to take a look at the free agent options out there, determine which might be the best fit for your New England Patriots heading into 2025. And last but certainly not least, we're going to turn our attention to the draft and a pretty intriguing draft class. Will the Patriots look to bolster the line early, or are they going to look to days 2 or 3? And, of course, folks, I say we because we could not engage you in any O-line wisdom and counsel without the man who wrote the very book on the subject. He's got a lot of names. He lives up to them all. Today, I declare on President's Day, we're going to call him the Baron of Big Round Linemen. He is my good friend, Thomas Murphy of DieHardBostonSportsFans.com. Thank you for coming to me in friendship today, Don Murph.
Oh, my pleasure, Michael. My pleasure. Happy President's Day, everybody. Go out and celebrate all your favorite presidents and leave out the ones you don't like.
Absolutely.
That's your day.
Absolutely. Like President Scroob from Spaceballs. I celebrated him today, obviously. It's always good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got the same combination on my luggage.
President Bartlett is
absolutely
who I'm celebrating today.
President Bartlett. Yeah. President David Palmer of 24.
Yeah.
President Whitmore from Independence Day.
There you
Today
go.
We celebrate our Independence Day.
That's right. President Whitmore.
President James Marshall from Air Force One. Get off my plane. Love it. Absolutely love it. You know what, Bud? Let's just get right into it because we have a lot to cover today here on Locked On Patriots. Yeah. And I think we'll start with the news of the day because it is relevant to both the New England Patriots and it's relevant to their potential upgrading of some of their most problematic areas on their roster. And that is Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T Higgins, folks. Arguably the top wide receiver in this year's free agency market. Someone we all hoped would be a potential target for the New England Patriots. Not expected to enter the open market after all. Right. The Bengals are planning to use that non-exclusive franchise tag on him. Second straight offseason they're doing this, Murph. If you'll indulge me for just a moment, I want to give a major tip of the cap to my good friend, my colleague right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as with Sports Illustrated, James Rapien of Locked On Bengals, and, of course, Cincinnati Bengals on SI. He was the first to report that news, folks, so it came right here from the Locked On Podcast Network. Kudos to James on a scoop well got. But this is significant for the Pats, Murph. There's no question about it. Higgins would have definitely been a target for this team. Who could have blamed them? Since entering the league, when he was a second-round pick in 2020, he's compiled 257 catches, 3,684 yards, 24 touchdowns. The Bengals liked him so much that they wanted to keep him around. They used that franchise tag on him last year to the tune of $21.8 million, and that prevented him from hitting the open market. But even though he was one of 8 that got the franchise tag last year, he was the only one that did not sign a long-term deal with the team. So a lot of people were thinking that was a temporary Band-Aid and Higgins would enter the open market this year. But ultimately now it looks like he's going to be staying put in the Queen City. So the question now becomes, what are the Pats going to do with that $128.69 million in available cap space? Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, the Pats cap, for giving us that information. I guess the argument can be made that a great deal of that wealth could be used to help improve this offensive line. And again, I don't think I'm giving a revelation here. This is an offensive line that struggled mightily in 2024. Heads are going to roll because of it, Murph, and the Patriots only have 4 members of this line that are entering free agency, one of whom already has in Chukwuekorafo. He's already been let loose. The Patriots have DeMontre Jacobs, Lester Cotton, and Ben Brown headed for free agency, which means that if they're going to continue to clear the decks, they're going to have to jettison guys that are under contract. So looking at this line from top to bottom, channel your inner Clash, my friend, as I said earlier. Who should stay? Who should go? Where are your thoughts aligning when it comes to the Patriots' 2025 offensive line?
Well, of course, we're just going to start with the man in the middle because centers rule. David Andrews. David Andrews will definitely be here. Mike Onwenu, of course, will be back. I want to see Cole Strange back. I don't care if you don't like my opinion or not. Cole Strange has been hamstrung by, injuries his entire career. And then, of course, there's the fringy guys. I like Jake Andrews. I think he should come back. I definitely think that Wallace should be back, and City Sal. You give him a chance to find a position, stay there. Honestly, there's not a lot that I would cut. I'm seriously thinking about letting this all sort itself out in camp.
That's an interesting tactic, and I really think that you're onto something there when it comes to the Pats, because you know what you have. You're never quite sure of what you're going to get, and a lot of what you may have to go out and get, at least when it comes to free agents, is probably going to be overpaid. And let's face it, the Patriots can overpay to a certain extent, but you don't want them overpaying for everybody coming in here. No. So there is some talent on this team, and I'm glad that you mentioned guys like David Andrews. I'm glad that you mentioned guys like Michael Onwenu, obviously. These are mainstays along the line. They have to be in place if the Patriots want to maintain continuity and they want to maintain some sort of bridge from what has been here to what's going to be here in the future. Cole Strange is an interesting one. Steve Balestrieri and I talked about Cole a little bit last week heading into the weekend, and we talked about Cole being a creature of outside zone. And with Josh McDaniels coming in, the concern is that he may not be able to adapt to the gap game that Josh loves to fall back on. But I think he's got more talent, and I think he's much more accessible to that now than he was coming out of college. I think there's just an inherent desire to learn more about the game. I'm not as concerned about that.
And he can also snap the ball. Okay.
Exactly.
He can play center. This is a man that can play multiple positions on the offensive line. And yes, he may be out of do-overs, as it might say, when it comes to this Patriots offense switching back and forth and moving around. But there are still plays where you need that man to pull. You need to get somebody to the outside. And I think Cole Strange is while any delusions that people might have had about him becoming an all-pro, he could still be a valuable piece to an offensive line. A lot of the difficulties last year with this offensive line is the fact that the depth was asked to play starting reps. And they couldn't do that. But I do believe that Cole Strange is somebody that can come in and contribute.
Again, I'm in agreement with you. I think Cole Strange is far too talented to cut loose this soon. I don't believe that you're going to fetch a lot of fair market trade value in return if you put him up on the block. And it's the only way that the Patriots cannot take a financial hit by getting rid of him. If you cut Cole Strange loose, whether it's before June 1st or after June 1st, you're not getting any cap savings. $0, folks. And you're also eating $3.9 million and $3.7 million in dead money if you
Yep.
cut Cole Strange respectively. So in my opinion, not a whole lot of incentive.
No.
Keep him in here. Let's see what the kid can do. I still believe that there is a great deal that he can contribute to this line. So I like him being in here. And my face lit up when you said City So, because this kid can come in and finally rebound and show what he can do in the Patriots gap running game
Right.
when Josh McDaniels decides that he wants to employ that. I think City is going to play right into that. You may see a little bit of a renaissance in City's game as a result of that. So in that vein, Murph, I think you're absolutely onto something
Right.
when you say, bring these guys into camp. Let's see what they can do,
That's
and
it.
then start thinning out the herd a little bit.
Layden Robinson, of course, he's going to be back next year. You're not going to let a rookie go. Wallace is there's too much draft capital spent there, and Wolf is not going to let go of his big draft day move just from a year ago. And I'm not sure if he's the one that's going to make that decision, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost 100% positive that Mr. Wallace will be back next season, in some
Yeah,
way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you take a look at the draft capital that was invested in
Right.
Caden, whether he plays on the left or on the right. I think we're both in agreement
Yeah,
that he
we're
would be
all
much better suited on the
right.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's worth it, and you owe it to yourselves to see what you have on a full season, a full healthy
Right.
season from Caden Wallace. I think Layden Robinson, there's still a chance that he could be a
Sure.
solid contributor as a depth piece. And if we're reading the tea leaves correctly when it
Yep.
comes to this offensive line, it looks like the Patriots would have some depth along the interior, some
hmm
solid options to look
Right.
at in terms of potential starters, or at the very least, some very highly talented depth pieces. But it's looking like there is a pretty big void along the tackles right now. And that may be where the Patriots need to focus their attention when they're looking to rebuild this roster. Patriots are going to use both the draft and free agency to the best of their ability. We're going to talk about free agency because it is the first method the Patriots will use to try to rebuild this offensive line. Who out
Yep.
there is worth the price, and which players out there would Murph overpay for? Yeah, he's the guru of the offensive line. I'm listening when he talks, and I know you're going to be interested in what he has to say on the subject when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as we begin the Patriots roster breakdown for 2025, starting with arguably the most problematic area on the Patriots roster, and that is the offensive line, a unit which struggled mightily in 2024. And of course, joining me here today to break it all down is my good friend, the Baron of big round men up front, my good buddy Thomas Murphy of DieHardBostonSportsFans.com. Murph, you see things us mere mortals don't see when it comes to the offensive line, and you've already lent a wealth of wisdom and counsel when it comes to the Patriots along the line that should be retained
Yep.
and those that may have, I don't want to say worn out their welcome here in
No.
New England, but
No.
their services were appreciated, just
Yep.
no longer needed here
There you go.
in Foxborough. But that means the door is going to be open very soon to new players coming in. And although we love to talk about the draft, and we will in just a moment, folks, free agency is the first step the Patriots will take in trying to rebuild this line. Now, the one thing that we've said several times here on these airwaves, you've professed it, I've
Yep.
agreed with you. This team could use some veteran leadership along this line,
Right.
a veteran presence, other than simply the captain, David Andrews, who does everything he can to hold this together. But you need some solid veteran linemen to tie it all together. There are some options available out there along the offensive line. Is there anyone out there right now, or are there multiple players that are catching Murph's sharp eye heading into free agency?
Yeah, and you've heard me talk about these guys many times, many times, sometime on the air. I want Dan Moore. Yeah, you
Mm,
guys are all going to kill me for wanting to go back to Pittsburgh, but Dan Moore has 1,000 snaps at left tackle in all
mm,
4 seasons in his NFL career.
mm.
This is a solid individual that knows his job and does it really well. Okay, he was a little bit just
Well,
just
but,
uh, just
well, but,
outside the top 10 in pass block rate last year,
mm,
and over I do believe 2 out of the last 3 years. This is a guy that can come in here and help solidify. Not, we're not talking about an all timer here, but we're talking about the best man for the job right now.
mm,
And so go out, back up some of that money, back up that Brinks truck and bring me Dan Moore.
yeah.
Okay, he's a left tackle. We're not trying to move somebody from the right side to the left side. We went through that last year. I told you all it was a giant mistake, and it was. So yeah, there's a guy to start with, and if you can't, all right, if that turns out to be a little too much, Alric Jackson.
Mm,
Just 26 years old.
mm.
He was with with LA last year, and I believe that he can come in here and do something for this team. And then I'm going to throw a guard at you guys. Okay, Murph, we need tackles. What are you doing? What are you doing? Patrick McCarry. He's a fantastic talent. Somebody that's 685 career snaps at left tackle, left guard, center, and right tackle. I like the versatility. Bring him on in here. And we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to give Claire a little something to be happy about. I want to bring in Tommy Tremble, 25-year-old tight end, third rounder. This is not the second coming of Gronk, but when you want a blocking tight end, this kid fits the bill. Okay, those are my 3-4 moves that I'd like to see the Patriots make on the offensive line before camp opens.
I love them all. I really do. And it's a nice little table setter when you mention the tight endage, because guess who's going to be joining us tomorrow here to preview the tight ends? That's right.
No,
The Countess of Class herself makes her
no.
long
All
awaited
right,
return to
there you
Locked On
go.
Patriots. We're going to be talking all things tight endage, and we're going to bring that up. So I appreciate that. It really does suit, I think, everything that Josh McDaniels is going to try to bring to this offense. And I do believe it's what Doug Marrone is going to try to incorporate into this offensive line.
Right.
So very astute observation. 26 years old.
Mm,
Same as Alaric Jackson. And I know
Yep.
Jackson's getting an awful lot of press. And I'm going to get to Alaric Jackson in just
Yep.
a moment, because he is an impressive,
He is.
impressive prospect, folks. I would love to see him come in here to New England, but I really, really am liking Dan Moore the more I'm giving him second and third looks. You mentioned right outside the tops in the league when it comes to pass block win
Yep.
rate. He finished 11th in that category last year.
Yeah.
More than 4,000 snaps in his career on the offensive line, 66 starts and left tackle in 4 years in the NFL. This kid is durable, he's strong, and he's someone that knows the position well.
Right.
And that's something the Patriots did not have last year. So I love that suggestion as well. Alaric Jackson, to me, is someone that I think could come in here and be an electric addition to
Yeah.
this New England Patriots offensive line. Of the four that you mentioned, he may be the most costly, but he also
Right.
may provide the most upside. In 14 games last year, Jackson earned a 78.4 grade from Pro Football Focus, 18th out of 81 eligible tackles.
Yep.
I do believe that he's going to be at or near the top of a lot of teams' wish lists this year. How far will the Patriots go to bring in the type of talent they'll need? Jackson may be worth the price, whatever price they need to pay for him. The question is, can you compete with the competition?
That's the thing. We keep talking about free agency, and I've said this many times, and Mike has agreed with me many times. I'm sure he's said it himself that, there are two types of free agents in the NFL: those that are looking to get a bag and those that are looking to get a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, the guys who have already gotten the bag, search for the ring and vice versa. I just think right now Jackson is probably going to be tops on a lot of a lot of teams' wish lists that are just this close, and the Patriots are not this close.
Right. Very good point. Absolutely. And if it comes down to being able to bag both the bag and the ring,
Yep.
that's something that I know Alaric
Right.
Jackson is going to be very interested in. And why wouldn't he be? He has every
Right.
right to be, and any player would.
And even Dan Moore, Dan Moore could be in that same
without
category
question.
with different teams wanting to bring him in, guys that are looking for a ring, an opportunity to really challenge. But I think Dan Moore could come here. I think working with this group of coaches, they could teach him or convince him that it's not as far off as you think.
Very good point. And I think it's going to behoove the New England Patriots to keep their options open when
Yep.
it comes to everyone available on the table. And that leads me quite nicely into a question I need to ask you, Murph. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't. Conspicuous by his absence in names we've mentioned so far, maybe the most popular of the left
Yep.
tackles that are going to be on the board, Ronnie Stanley of the
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens. Pro Bowl, All-Pro
Yep.
nods in 2019. Pro Football Focus ranked him 16th among all NFL tackles
Yeah.
with an 80.6 pass blocking grade. You know he's going to command the bag. You know he's going to be looking to
Right.
make the coin. The question is this a player the Patriots should be trying to pursue? Do you believe, first of all, that he'd come to New England, and second of all, that the Patriots would pony up the type of contract he's likely going to command on the open market?
I believe they would. I don't like the fact that he's the wrong side of 30. I don't like the fact that
That's a
this
good
is the
point.
first time he's played 850 snaps since 2019.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's why I've stayed away from Ronnie.
Mhm.
But I do. I wouldn't if it did happen. But he's going to get paid. I would rather he get paid by somebody else.
If I'm telling you my thoughts on the subject, I would agree with you. I do believe he probably will be paid by someone else. Again, I think somebody's just going to come knocking on his door that's able to
Yep.
offer him what New England could offer him monetarily, but they may be in a better
Right.
position to compete in 2025 than the Patriots will. So, unfortunately, folks, the Pats are at a disadvantage when it comes to the competition level, but they do have the money and they're going to have to spend it, and they're going to have to
Yep.
spend it to the best of their ability if they want to upgrade this roster. So, when it comes to free agency, folks, there's a lot of different avenues that the New England Patriots could take, but they need some young guns on that line that are going to make sure that this line builds and builds well as they try to protect Drake May for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
Where should the Patriots be focusing when it comes to the draft? Day 1, day 2, day 3? We're going to find out in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as President's Day winds down into your Tuesday morning. Joining me here today to break down all things New England Patriots offensive line as we kick off your Patriots roster breakdowns for 2025 is the Baron of Big Round Men, the monster master of disaster, the Count of Murphy Fisto himself, the legendary Thomas Murphy of DieHardBostonSportsFans.com. Murph, we've talked about the Patriots' talent in-house. Who should
Yep.
stay? Who should go?
Yep.
You've given us your pseudo wish list of players you'd like to see walk through the door at one
Right.
Patriots place in Foxborough. But we all know that with the NFL draft rapidly approaching and the 2025 NFL scouting combine really rapidly approaching next week to start, draft season is about to be in full swing, and the Patriots may have the number 4 overall pick in this draft, Murph. But several draft pundits have gone on record by saying they're not quite sure that there is a surefire, can't-miss prospect that would be worth that type of first-round commitment when it comes to the New England Patriots and choosing their offensive lineman of the future. Once again, my friend, I want to give you the floor here because I think you make as compelling of an argument as anyone that may not be
Sure.
entirely accurate. I put a lot of stock into your informed opinion, my friend. Let's dive into that. Do you believe that the Patriots would be smart to consider an offensive lineman, primarily a tackle, with the
Yep.
number 4 overall pick?
No. No, because you can get them later. Okay, there are guys
Thank
who
you.
want their toys. Okay, now if the Patriots take care of business in free agency, you can go out and get your shiny toy.
Hmm.
Okay, you can go out and play with it, and you can show it off to everybody that buy season tickets and drive up the prices and let's order the jerseys. But there is a tackle that I believe is head and shoulders above everybody else in this draft. And if the Patriots did end up taking him at 4, I wouldn't be upset. I really wouldn't. 5 years of this kid would be, just more than all right with me. All right, and that kid is none other than Calvin Banks Jr. All right, there's a lot of talk out there right now. Will Campbell out of LSU is the man and the myth and the legend all rolled up into one. I'm sorry for there is no Joe Alt in this draft. He's not
Mhm.
there. All right, he was there last year. You guys took your quarterback, and I've been quite happy with Mr. May and what he's done so far. I wanted Joe Alt this year. I want Calvin Banks Jr. All right, and for the simple reason that he is the man. He's in 2024. I think that Banks was outstanding. I think that Will Campbell was did a fine job. Was an excellent left tackle. I'm not sure he's going to stay there. I'm really not, because arm length does matter a little bit. And early on, I thought that wasn't going to be a problem with him. More and more, I'm thinking that it is. Now, Banks has, shall we say, a vastly better PFF grade
Mhm.
as a pass blocker as opposed to Campbell, 86 and 79 true set pass grade against Campbell's 74 and 71 showings in the same categories. Okay, you can't argue with that. You can't argue with that and with the eyes of the people that are watching him and see what he's been able to do. Kelvin Banks Jr. is the best tackle in this draft. If the Patriots don't get it done in free agency, they don't bring in 2 or 3 very good linemen, and they need that guy. And I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. If you have the number 4 pick, you can go out and spend this money on any shiny toy that you want. Getting them here is the difficult part. If you draft this kid and you draft him at 4, I'm not going to be upset about it. I would rather you drop down and pick up more capital
Mhm.
and then possibly move back up into the first round and get a second tackle. Um, but no, I'm not gonna begrudge the Patriots one bit if they get 5 years out of this kid.
I think it begs the question now, if the New England Patriots don't use day 1 draft capital to bring
Yep.
in that type of tackle that could be a game changer along this line, who catches your eye for a potential day 2 or day 3 prospect?
Well, Josh Connerly, if he
Mhm.
slips a little bit, he doesn't have an outstanding time down there in Indianapolis. Gray Zabel, we talked about a whole bunch. Cameron Williams, who sat over there on the other side, down there in Texas, and of course Ursery. But these are all
Yeah.
guys that I do believe that you might have to trade back up into the first round to get.
Last but certainly not least here, my friend, we always like to talk diamonds in the rough. I know it's early in the process. I know the combine hasn't happened yet, but there are always those potential picks that the Patriots can bring in, someone
Yep.
that maybe the public is not watching all that close. But once again, you see things us mere mortals don't see. There any diamonds in the rough that you have your eye on when it comes to this class?
Yeah, of course, I mean, we talked during the Senior Bowl about my man Lampkin and all 5 foot nothing of him. I think I think the Patriots took a late round flyer on him. But Holland Pierce out of Rutgers. Okay,
Ooh.
we'll go back to Rutgers. All right, 6'8", 350 to 55 pounds. He's a massive individual. You want to run the ball, you could run the ball behind Holland Pierce, man. I think he would come in here. You could grab him, say in the fourth round, and he's got some positional versatility, and also, I think he would end up being a fantastic swing tackle.
Absolutely. And of course, you're filled with all the wisdom, all the counsel, and all the insight you can handle on the offensive line today because you listen to my guest. You listen to the Baron of Big Round Men up front, my good friend Thomas Murphy. Murph,
Right.
what can I say? You always lend the wisdom and counsel the way only you can when it comes to the O-line, really when it comes to anything Patriots related. But this is your wheelhouse, my friend, and you absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
So a tip of the cap to you. Thank you for all of your insight today. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what you got cooking in Murph's kitchen.
Yeah, folks, thanks. You can check me out on Twitter at tmurph207s, and you can check me out on the Blue Skies, tmurph207. Leave the last F off for savings, and that's that. And other than that, I'm hanging out at diehardbostonsportsfans.com. I'll have all of my combine stuff out. I've got my rankings coming out for free agency, and of course for the draft, and you're not going to want to miss my monster keys to this year's draft. You're really not.
Absolutely, folks. Anytime Murph gives you the monster keys, you turn the keys, you go to the top. You don't turn the keys, you're never heard from again. So be sure to check them out and all the great work that Murph does over at diehardbostonsportsfans.com. And you heard him mention the draft because next Monday, Mock Draft Monday, is back on Locked On Patriots. Murph kicking off our 6th season doing mock drafts here on Locked On. It's absolutely amazing. We continue to be blown away each and every year by the amount of work, the amount of insight that you all put in. Please get those mock drafts in early. And in the meantime, on behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change that you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.